Fellas, ladies, you looking for lotions? You looking for beard oils? But unfortunately, everything you get from mainstream got chemicals in it and it's probably killing you? No problem, we got you. Go check out my people from Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare. That's Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare. www.top2bottom, BOTTU, the U is for unique, M.com. Tell them I sent you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How you doing? How you doing? Welcome in. Ryan's opinion don't matter on the OG Network. Hopefully, y'all having a blessed, wonderful day. Hopefully, life is treating you well, as it is me. Thanking God for life, thanking God for strength, and thanking God for always being there, even the moments in my life where I know 100% I did not deserve it. But thank you, Lord, for showing up anyway. God bless every single one of y'all. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Appreciate it very, very much. A couple things, man. I tell you, yesterday we had a good show. For those that don't know, we have a show that we do Monday nights with me and Ant Like the Bug. It's called Philly Talk, and Mr. Young was on the show, and I like what and admire what the guy is doing as it relates to seeing people, young men wear suits instead of that stuff hanging off their behind, pants sagging all over the place and stuff like that. And I like what I seen him doing, and just adding in that element of have some professionalism about you. Look, unique, prestigious. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And I think a lot of times when you, depending on where you grow up, sometimes people take that lightly. They don't understand what that says to other people about you by the way you dress. Now, here's the thing. Me personally, I am not one that's real fashion conscious, but I understand the purpose behind it. I understand that in certain elements of your life, it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say that is because I used to do job interviews, and I used to do a lot of hiring. And usually, you know how you have a lobby where the people that you're hiring might be waiting for their interview and stuff like that. And sometimes I would just, if I'm not the one doing the actual interview, I would just pace through the lobby, kind of get a glimpse of what the person is wearing. Sometimes if they pull up in the parking lot, I kind of get a glimpse of what they like in the parking lot, and before they actually try to put on that persona of what they're trying to sell you. You know what I mean? I speak to them and see how they speak back, how attentive they is. There's little things that I used to do, especially if I'm not the one actually doing the interview, because it might be a co-manager or somebody that's going to do the interview. But to give me a feel for what the person is, and usually the way they dress starts to tell me more of a story. And then by the time we get to the point of interviewing, and a lot of times when I'm the one part of the interview, they be looking like, oh, I didn't know that was the person part of the interview. You never know who you're entertaining. And with that said, a lot of times, that dress code was the first thing to say, yeah, nah. What's up, Just For Real? How you doing? God bless you. Welcome in. Please hit the like button. We know you already subscribed, but please hit the like button for bro. We appreciate it very much. But anyway, in that interview, you see how they present themselves and how they come to a job interview. And you based off of how they dress, a lot of times you already like, nah. If you don't respect how you present yourself to sell yourself and present yourself in a certain way, a lot of companies, and I'm not saying all, but a lot of times that's a turn off for the people that's interviewing. You say, you know what, they're not serious. They're not. But based off of Mr. Young yesterday on Philly Talk and that dress code, let's say you show up and you dress, you don't have to be dressed like really, really overdressed, but you dress professional enough for them to look past how you present yourself from the physical perspective. And then they get mad and say, oh man, they racist, or this company that, or this company. No, it was the way you dressed. You coming in here with a hoodie and a mask all over your face, like you ain't here for an interview, like you here to get robbers. Like you casing the joint. And then you get mad because that the way, listen, put yourself on the other end of how you dress when it comes to an interview and ask yourself, would you hire you? That's how you look at that. So when you going on that job interview and someone's getting ready to interview you, the first thing you got to say, if I was interviewing me, would I hire me based off of my physical presentation, how I physically present myself, not by what I say, not by my if you fill out a job application or your own resume and stuff like that, just by my physical presentation, would I hire me? And if you can't say unequivocally yes because of the way you dress, you might need to change what you're wearing before you go in an interview. And that's real talk. Because I'm telling you, you can say what you want to say. It's a turnoff for a lot of companies. Definitely when I was the one actually doing the hiring. As soon as I seen that, I was just like, yeah, no. And I understand sometimes there's a financial situation, there's a money situation, but some of these people will go borrow money to go smoke weed. They'll go borrow money to go drink. They'll go borrow money to do everything else, but they won't borrow money to get something presentable so that they go on a job interview. And that's real talk, as I've seen it. Don't sit there. I know people going to say, oh, no, that's not real. No, it is. I've seen it happen. You don't go on a job interview like you come into the street to a street fight. You just don't. But I've seen young guys do it. And that's why when I look at Mr. Young from yesterday in the interview we did on Philly Talk, and hopefully we get him back on the show, I have a lot of respect for him because that is needed, especially in neighborhoods where it's not presented very well. And that's real talk. Because I'm going to tell you something. If everybody came in a hoodie and you came in on a suit, you already got the job. You already beat them. In most cases, you've already gotten the job beyond them. If they interview 5 people and you came in there looking the part, on a professional enough level that you respect how you present yourself, you ain't even got to be the smartest. More, you have to be the qualified. The fact that you came that way in a lot of cases is going to get you the job before the other person. Because the other person might know more than you do. They might actually be smart, but they weren't smart enough or wise enough to know how to present themselves. You was. And that's why a lot of times you'll exceed and get past these type of people and get jobs before they would, because you know how to present yourself. Now, the other part is once you get the job doing the other part, but at least that got you in the door. But I've seen people with this other mentality. They just don't see it that way, and they take it lightly. So for me, who's not real fashion conscious like that, still understands that in certain situations, it is necessary. And honestly, I got checked last night. Low key, I got checked. Now, he wasn't like coming at me or me and like above, nothing like that. But I had to literally think back and say, look at my wardrobe. I said, I have nothing. Zero. I mean, I don't have I do have some somewhat dress code stuff for Brazil, but honestly, I don't. Like I said, wow, yeah, I need to make sure I at least have 1 or 2. And this is why I'm on this conversation right now, is because I think as a young man, oh man, Howard, you on point with that one. I didn't even think that far into it, but yes, Howard, I agree with you that part too. That those rings and all that other stuff, it just, I don't understand it. What this generation is at. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, the tattoos and rings and stuff. If I'm the one doing the interview, I'm telling you, the way you present yourself, all that stuff is already a sign that you got emotional problems. It's so many things that says about a person that they don't, on a negative sense, and it doesn't mean that you're really that person, that type of person, but it's hard to see who you are by the way you present yourself. And it's like, yeah, I see you, but the nose ring and all of that other tattoos and stuff is distracting me from hearing what you're saying. It's like this. It's like a woman coming in there. She could be smart and intelligent and everything else more than qualified. But if she come in there with her boobs hanging out and all this hopelessly, it's going to be hard for people to take her serious because she is distracting you by all of the other stuff. That's why you should cover all that up. If you want me to see what's in your head and hear what you're saying, then you should cover all of that up. And I know people say, oh, you're supposed to have, nah, look, we in the real world. Understand that we in the real world. And it's a distraction from me actually seeing who you are as an individual. And then you get mad that you done been on 10 interviews and nobody's hired you. I'm not saying you won't find a job. I'm not saying that you can't find a job. You will. If you keep looking, you're going to find something. But what you're doing in that sense, is you're making it way more complicated than it has to be, because you're turning more people off than you're turning them on to wanting to hire you. That's what that is the point that I'm trying to make, is that for a lot of the companies that's hiring and stuff, they don't want that. They looking at that. You represent this company. Nah, we don't want that representing our company. They just don't. Image is everything. If a doctor came to do surgery on you, and they came with dirty hands and a dirty all this stuff all over them and stuff like that, you're not gonna want that doctor working on you. You go into a restaurant and you see somebody nasty and dirty looking, you're gonna look at that person and be like, yeah, I don't want them making my food. I'm out. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but you're gonna lose a lot of business if your presentation of people in your work that work for you don't look presentable. That's just the way it is. Because to most people, that's like, yeah, and I'm good. That's a sign. If you go into a supermarket and it's nasty and dirty and stuff falling all over the place, you're not gonna want to buy anything out there. Now, am I saying everybody? No, but a lot of people are gonna be like, yeah, nah, I'm good. Why? Presentation matters a lot. It does. It just does. You might not like it, but it does. But hopefully y'all having a blessed, wonderful day. I'm not going to be here long today. I just wanted to get in and kind of step somewhat of an extension of yesterday, because I think that was a really good show. I like what Mr. Young was talking about. I like the fact that he tried to teach young men how to tie ties, how to present themselves. And there was a lot more that I know that he wanted to say and wanted to get into, but he couldn't get into it because, time is of the essence and stuff. So we're hoping to get him back on the show and do that. But he has his own business. He has a location. He has his own business. Give me a second, because I'm going to try to see if I can pull back up his website, because I had it on. Nope. But yeah, well, Styles by Young is how I found how I look at his website, but I really, really, really had a good time watching this brother, talking to him. It was a good show. It really was. But I'm trying to get the link, and I'm gonna put the link in the chat when I as we talking. I had to try to go find it. I wanted to while we on the show, whatever, I can find it and put it in his website and a link. Put it in the chat for people to see it. His website. Yeah, but for those that may be interested in purchasing a suit, might be interested in looking at different things like that, man. But that's for those. This is his website, Styles by Young, where fashion meets elegance. I'm gonna leave that right there for now, and I'll keep bringing it back up if somebody that want to know. I agree with you, Howard. Yeah, I don't. But my thing is just, you asking people to take you serious when you don't take you serious. And listen, I get it. People want to wear what they want to wear. I get it. But all right, I can hire who I want to hire. I mean, and that's, and then the other thing is just how you, like I said, is how you present yourself. You want people to take you serious, but you're not even taking yourself serious. And that's it. But I like it, man. And I think it's necessary for a lot of these young men to know, to have some level of presentation of how they dress and how they present themselves, especially in certain situations. Like he said at a funeral, job interviews. I mean, let's say you're trying to get some money out of some people, man. They're going to look at how you dress, and that's going to matter. It's going to matter. You're going to, even when you just go into a bank to try to get loans and stuff like that. And let's say you're trying to start your own business and you're trying to convince investors to invest in what you're doing. The way you present yourself is going to matter. is just going to matter. And listen, I'm telling y'all this, and I'm not even a fashion conscious type person. Like, I'm not. But when I need to, I do it because I know it's necessary. In a lot of cases, I know it's necessary. And that's why I do it. And like I said, but if you're not conscious about that stuff, and then you wonder why you're struggling to get somewhere, you gotta ask yourself, I gotta rebrand myself. When you're on a job interview, you're selling yourself to that job. You're trying to get them to you convince them why they should hire you. And beyond that, the way you present yourself is half the battle. The other thing is how you speak, the words that your choice words. That has a big factor on how they hire you and your knowledge of the job in itself. Now, you don't always have to have experience. They'll tell you, some jobs be like, we don't need no experience. We can teach you. We're going to teach and train you for what we do. But you do have to present yourself with a level of intelligence to be able to comprehend certain things also. And it depends on what the job entails. I mean, let's say you're going to work at a job, and let's say it's a warehouse, and I'm looking at the stock market as we present, because I'm gonna probably get into that a little bit before I go. Before this, in a little bit, I might get into that. But how you present yourself to the job, and how you when you go to interview, and let's say you're going to work at a warehouse or a place that's assembly lines and anything in that labor, which is they require a whole lot of labor involved. One thing that was always a good selling point for me is that I always told the interviewer, like the person that's interviewing, I said, listen, one thing I am is this. I'm going to make sure that my labor is profitable. They look at me like, what? I said, I'm going to make sure. I said, once I get there, if you hire me, and one thing about me is I'm going to come to work every day. I'm going to avoid calling out and being late. I said, that's not in my makeup. I'm not saying I can't 100% prevent it, but those are the things that are in my, but the other thing is this, is that once I figure out the job, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that my labor is profitable. What's up? Not too late. God bless you. Welcome in. Welcome in. I'm going to make sure my labor is profitable. And I remember the first time, actually almost every time I had few times that I've had to get into interviews and stuff, when I mentioned that, they were shocked. It was like, what? They was like, yeah, I'm going to make sure that my labor is profitable. I said, I understand that the reason why you're hiring me is for the company to make profit off of my labor. My job is to make sure that my labor is profitable so that the company can always make money, that they can afford to pay me. I don't take nothing for granted. I'm hoping that you manage the company, do everything. But my part in this is to make sure that my labor, my performance is profitable. Now you got to do your end, and everybody else got to do their end. But my part in this is going to be making sure that my labor, what I do, is profitable to the company. And that way, I bring value. And hopefully, when it's time to start paying out some money, you're gonna look at my labor and my performance and say, "Oh no, we got to take care of him because we're making money off of him." And other ones, whatever. But him, we got to take care of because we're making a lot of money off of. And I always use my smarts and my intelligence and my wisdom to figure out a way. And it has worked 100%. Every job that I was ever on, regardless of how I started up, I was making a lot more than when I started at because my labor was extremely profitable. And they wanted to make sure they paid me to keep me from leaving. Because they was like, nah, this guy, he outperforms. And other people be like, oh man, you trying to perform, you trying to do this for the white man. No, I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my livelihood, my family's livelihood, everything. All that's the equation. You got to do with the person who first of all, I worked for people that wasn't all white. So that was an ignorant statement in itself. But I worked for an Indian nationality or people that was black. It didn't matter to me. You know what I mean? I didn't care. But and understand, if it's a publicly traded company, you're not working for one company. You're working for the shareholders. Because all of them is going to profit in your labor. Now, some bigger and some smaller, but that's the reality of it. They're going to profit. If that company's profitable, they're going to profit off your labor. So you're really working for the shareholders. So let's say you work for like a company like Home Depot and you're a shareholder. Yeah, you're working for your paycheck, but you're also working for yourself because you're a shareholder in the company if you work there and you invest in the company that you work on. So everything you do as an employee in a small way, it's going to affect the value of that stock, of that company, their profit. So a lot of time, but people don't see it that way, and they just think, "Oh, this job, screw this job." All right, whatever. You're only gonna get what you put out. No matter what you get out, and you gotta expect the return. But and a lot of time, people are like, "Oh man, these jobs won't work you like a dog, don't want to pay you." All right, well then leave. If you know that you're not getting paid with the value and what you bring to the company, and then be honest with yourself too. Don't be like, "Oh, if you one of them people that call out every other week, you ain't that one. If you one that's late all the time, you're not that one. If you're one that's mediocre on the job, you're not that one. You better improve your performance, and then you can talk that talk. But if you're one of those people that is similar to the way I'm talking and the way I am, and if they're not rewarding you for that, then you move on. Somebody will. Some company will reward, because that's what they're looking for. They will. But you got to be willing to put out the work and do what's necessary to do it. That's it. And I just wanted to get on here, and I wasn't going to be here long today. I just wanted to get on here and just kind of iterate that, because yesterday was a really good show. And this morning when I got up and I thought about, the conversation that we had yesterday about that. And I said, man, you know what? I think I'm hoping to getting back on the show, but I really want to get deep dive further into this, because I think our dress code as young men has gotten so lax that we don't even care no more. And I think it has, and to some extent, especially if you grow up in the hood, if you don't get that in your head, it can be detrimental to your future. If you don't get out of that to some extent. I'm not saying you got to abandon the way you dress, but I'm saying you got to be able to find a way to present yourself properly under certain circumstances and know the difference in when and when not. And that's why it's, kudos to Mr. Young, I'm sorry, and his business. And hopefully, if Styles by Young is his business, if you on this live, if you're looking for it, his website, it is in the chat. Like I said, I'm not going to be here long today, but every single one of y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. I just want to get in here and touch bases on that. Make sure y'all come in on Fridays, which we have Fire on Fridays at 7:00 p.m. And then make sure y'all check out the Fracas Show, which is at 12 o'clock on Sundays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of this stuff, because we on the East Coast. But anyway, with that said, every single one of y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. I'm out of here. Peace.
Fellas, ladies, you're looking for lotions, you're looking for beard oils, but unfortunately, everything you get from mainstream got chemicals in it and it's probably killing you? No problem, we got you. Go check out my people from Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare. That's Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare. www.top2bottom, BOTTU, the U is for unique, M.com. Tell them I sent you.